Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez.
And I'm Kevin Friel. We'd like to remind you right at the top that the meetings we cover are available on demand at the town's website. You can log on at www.town.barnstable.ma.us. February is Black History Month, and to celebrate, we're continuing our weekly showcase of the special events and exhibits to be found all month long at the Zion Union Heritage Museum on North Street in Hyannis. Museum Vice President John Reed stopped by the studio to fill us in on this weekend's happenings and to share some stories about an African-American community leader that has made a major impact on the town of Barnstable.
Well, the scene is different, but fortunately our guest is the same this week. It's the Vice President of the Zion Union Heritage Museum on North Street in Hyannis. John Reed is here with us again this week. Thanks for joining us, John.
Thank you.
Now, John, we're continuing our every Thursday in February episodes here featuring the Zion Museum, talking about all the special events that you have going on throughout the course of Black History Month. And this weekend, on Saturday the 13th of February from 10 to 3, you have a very special guest. His name is Keith Rosary, and this guy is pretty amazing. Why don't you tell me about him?
Keith Rosary is a native of Hyannis. He attended Barnstable High School. He was one of my former students, and him and I got along very well. I know his family well. His family goes back to the early 1900s here. His brother Billy was an outstanding basketball player for Barnstable High School, who ended up going to Northeastern University. But Keith in itself is one of the finest martial art instructors in this country. At one point, he even worked with Bruce Lee in California, and he made his first film in California, and he later came back home to look out for his family and be part of this community again. Currently, he has his own martial arts studio that's located off of Route 28 in Hyannis, and he is a filmmaker. He just finished a film that we're very proud of Keith and his endeavors, particularly when he had a low budget to do the film, and he did a great job.
Now, Keith, there's no question about it, is not only a legend as far as African-American martial artists are concerned, but American martial artists or even world martial artists are concerned in general, John. His story is pretty incredible. Can you talk to me a little bit about how he kind of came up through the ranks through the high school and on and on?
Okay. Keith was an outstanding athlete in high school. And when he decided that he wanted to go do something, he put his all in all into it, to the point where he perfected the skill. And when he went to California and began to work both in martial arts there and in movies, he became very well respected and was noticed by a number of people for his fine athletic prowess. But more importantly, Keith is a gentleman. He's a gentleman and a humanitarian. In this community, we need more role models like Keith.
So that being said, what is his address, his discussion going to consist of this coming Saturday?
We've talked to Keith about discussing who Keith is, his growing up in Barnstable, but more importantly, tell us a little bit about what it is to become a professional African-American artist in this country and in this society. Because we have a thing. Older people are the people that most people remember, but we don't even talk about younger people and their accomplishments. At this point in time, I believe that younger people need to be recognized and encouraged to continue. And to motivate youth, instead of going the wrong way, do something positive with your life and become somebody.
Okay, so John, one last question about Keith Rosary. What else is he doing throughout the month of February?
On the same Saturday, Keith is appearing at the Zion Union Heritage Museum. Keith will be part of a program at the Barnstable Recreation Center with the United Cultural Diversity Room. He will be helping to mentor a new generation of young people in the town of Barnstable as part of the community program out of the Cultural Diversity Center. And we know Keith is going to do a great job along with the other people who are working hard to make this event.
Certainly a lot to learn from Keith Rosary for everyone in the community. And once again, he will be appearing at the Zion Union Heritage Museum this Saturday, the 13th of February, from 10 until 3 p.m. Now, John, we want to talk also about more stories. I love hearing the stories that you have to tell about the African Americans that made a big impact in this community throughout the course of the history, because, of course, you have wonderful objects that tell the story at the museum, but the stories stories behind them are really what they're all about. This week, we're featuring Joe DeLuz and his story. And Joe was actually recently presented Bridgewater State College's Martin Luther King Jr. Award in mid-January. Talk to us about Joe and his impact on this community.
Joe is one of the few people here who everybody knows Joe. Joe grew up here. He went to school here in New Bedford. But more importantly, Joe became a community leader because when Joe came back from Delaware State University, where he went to school, he began to look at how things were. He was his own business person. He started off in carpentry and doing home repairs. Some of the other things Joe has done, was the president of the Cape Cod branch NAACP, the third president to be exact, for over 20 years. Joe is important because he has mentored everybody. I'm one of Joe's prodigies. I mean, if I could say personally, Joe's like my father. Wow. Down here. And when I first came to Cape Cod, it's because of the efforts of Joe DeLuz and other people and the NAACP that wanted to have more educators of color in Barnstable, and I was one of those people who was fortunate enough to be selected. Over the years, Joe has not only helped people on many different occasions, he's also been the building inspector for the town of Barnstable and worked with many different business people in the town to help improve the community.
Now, do you have any specific stories about Joe, a couple of things that really stick out in your mind to kind of tell everybody really who he is via his actions?
Sure. When it came time to stand up for what was right, Joe DeLuz, Eugenia Forts, Dolores DeLuz, Dorothy Donaldson, and a host of people got together and they went out and they did what had to be done. Social justice and change sometimes are hard to do in a place where people don't see the need for it. And the history of the Cape has not always been what it is today. There have been incidences such as when Sambo's restaurant was open over in the Rotary, Hyannis Rotary. They didn't understand why Sambo was impacting people of color. Well, Sambo to us is not the same as Sambo to a corporate chain of restaurants trying to make a name off of a derogatory image that African Americans find degrading. The second part to that is Joe has not only gone out to fight for kids in school, but also advocate for parents, organizing a major situation up at Upper Cape Vocational School with other people who are having problems there. Very few people will talk negative of Joe DeLuz, particularly when you ask the question, do you have to do something? The answer is no, particularly for other people. Some folks are made to go out and fight. Other people, Joe is a gentleman. He does not always become loud or very aggressive. He gets things done quietly behind the scenes, and he works to bring people together. And that's the main thing that Joe DeLuz is great for.
Absolutely, and I would imagine that kind of answers the question as to what his legacy is in terms of the way that he worked and what he worked on.
Joe's legacy for the town of Barnstable and Cape Cod, and perhaps all of southern Massachusetts, is first and foremost, he's a family man. He loves his children. He loves his wife. He is a patron. He's very much involved in Knights of Columbus. He does a lot of community work with other groups besides the NAACP. But more importantly, he has been a person who has stood up at a time when most folks did not want to say a word. And that says it all from me to Joe as a personal mentor for me. He's helped me become a better person as well.
For more information on the museum and upcoming Black History Month events, visit ZionUnionHeritageMuseum.org. Board and committee meetings are done for the week, so all that's left is to say so long. For Kevin Friel, I'm Nick Cortez. We'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.